You wash your face when you wake up. You wash your hands before you eat. You assume none of this existed 800 years ago. You assume wrong. For centuries, the image of medieval life has been mud, filth, and unwashed bodies stumbling through disease-ridden streets. That image is mostly a lie, not a small exaggeration, a deliberate one. The real story is stranger than the myth. Medieval people washed often. They bathed in public houses. They scrubbed their teeth with cloth and twigs. And yet the streets around them were genuinely, dangerously filthy. Two different kinds of clean and dirty, tangled together. Why does almost nobody know this? Start with the body itself. Daily washing of the face, hands, and feet was not rare in medieval Europe. It was expected. Washing basins sat in nearly every household, rich or poor, used each morning. Soap was not a luxury item either. Most households made their own, boiling animal fat with wood ash. It smelled rough. It worked. Now picture the public bathhouse. In medieval towns across Europe, these were ordinary social spaces. Records from cities like Paris and London show licensed bathhouses operating openly, some offering steam rooms, others simple tubs of heated water shared by groups. People gathered there the way you might visit a gym today. It was social, it was normal, it was, by the standards of the time, clean. So where did the dirty myth come from? Largely from the century that followed the medieval period, not the period itself. 19th century writers needed medieval Europe to look backwards, superstitious, and primitive. That contrast made their own age look like the pinnacle of progress. Painting the Middle Ages as filthy was not really about hygiene. It was about flattering the present by insulting the past. That trick still works on us centuries later. Here is where the real evidence gets interesting. Archaeological digs at medieval sites across England have recovered thousands of bone and antler combs, many fine-toothed enough to remove lice eggs from hair. People were not just washing, they were grooming daily, with tools built specifically for the job. You do not invent a tool that precise unless cleanliness actually mattered to you. Teeth tell a similar story. Medieval populations had surprisingly low rates of cavities compared to later centuries, largely because sugar was rare and expensive. People cleaned their teeth with linen cloth, sometimes dipped in salt or herbs. No toothbrush, no fluoride, still a method that worked. Now picture a single morning. You wake in a small house with a dirt floor and a thatched roof. A basin of water sits near the door filled from the well the night before. You wash your face first, then your hands, splashing cold water to shock yourself awake. You run a bone comb through your hair, working slowly near the scalp where lice like to hide. Your linen shirt is what you actually care about keeping clean, because linen touches skin directly and absorbs sweat like a modern undershirt. You change it more often than anything else you own. By the time you step outside, you feel presentable. And then you step into the street. This is the twist. This is where everything flips. Medieval cities had no centralized sewage systems. Waste went into gutters running down the middle of streets, sometimes straight past butcher stalls where animal blood and entrails were dumped. Layers of household refuse, animal bone, and human waste packed into cesspits behind every home. The body was clean. The city around it was not. This is the part the myth gets backward. People did not fail at personal hygiene. Infrastructure failed at public hygiene. Those are two completely different problems. Medieval societies solved one while struggling badly with the other. You can scrub your hands raw every morning and still walk through a street thick with the smell of an open gutter. Personal effort cannot fix a missing sewer system. No amount of individual discipline substitutes for infrastructure that doesn't exist yet. Even the public bathhouses eventually became part of the problem, but not for the reason people assume. Outbreaks of plagues swept through Europe starting in the 14th century. Physicians developed a theory that hot water opened the pores of the skin, allowing disease to enter the body more easily. Medieval medical texts contain explicit warnings urging people to avoid bathhouses during outbreaks, not because bathing was dirty, but because they believed it made the body more vulnerable. Bathhouses across many cities shut their doors, not from neglect, but from fear, built on a theory of disease that was wrong but sincerely held. The clean habit disappeared because of bad science, not bad hygiene. So the full picture looks almost the opposite of what you were taught. Medieval individuals were diligent about their bodies, their hair, their linen, their teeth. The system around them was what genuinely failed. Clean people, dirty infrastructure, not the other way around. Does any of this sound familiar? Think about your own life right now. You can wash your hands a dozen times a day and do everything within your personal control, and you still breathe polluted city air you didn't create. You still drink water filtered through systems you never see and rarely think about, until the day one of them fails. You still depend entirely on infrastructure built by people you'll never meet. Personal hygiene was never really the whole story. The body has always been the easy part to control. The world around it never has been. You wash your face when you wake up. 800 years ago, someone did exactly the same thing, in roughly the same way, for roughly the same reason. The dirt was never really in the past, it was just in the streets, waiting outside the door, the same way it sometimes still is.